upset. So working on that really matters, and naming when that's not happening to your partner to repair. Hey, I was upset earlier. Still, when I'm upset, it's not okay for me to talk to you like that. And I'm sorry. And you kind of want your kid to be like within earshot. You don't have to turn to them and say, see, but again, they will really absorb that. Next, when you fight, talk to your kid about it because they're scared. Again, they're always paying attention to us and the state of our relationship. Hey, you heard daddy and I yelling earlier. I'm sure that felt scary. We're okay. We're working on communicating more effectively, even when we're upset. But I just wanted to say, I'm sure that felt bad. And then I think just connectedness, especially in this age where our phones take us so far away from each other. Our kids seeing that we say to each other, hey, let's have dinner together without our phones. Hey, I see you on your phone. Could you put that down so we could talk? And the other person hopefully saying, oh, you're right. Let me just finish this thing and put it in the other room. I think our kids seeing that in us these days is really important for down the line.
So I think every parent aspires to create a better life for their children than they had, maybe, or they try to improve upon the life of, for their children compared to the way they grew up. I mean, that's an aspiration. How do you guard against creating entitled children?
Ooh, love this question. So I'm going to give a definition of what I think about entitlement, and then we'll work our way into kind of how to not get there. So I think every adult says this. I don't want to have an entitled kid, but we have to start with what does that really mean under the word so we know what we're optimizing or avoiding. To me, what entitlement really is fear of frustration. Okay. And I want to explain this. So I think about something that happened years ago. I'm in my private practice. I'm seeing this very wealthy, parents. They were self-made, did really well. And they came to me precisely because they were flying from Hawaii. I guess they called first class. Their 16-year-old son gets up to board and the parents say nonchalantly, wasn't a big deal to them. Oh, sweetie, we're not boarding yet. We're not first class. And the kid just had a total meltdown, like a parent's worst nightmare. And they basically came to me saying like, how did we get here? The most well-meaning parents, lovely. And I think the kid was really, really lovely too. So if we think about entitlement, because that's a prime example, as fear of frustration, everything that kind of went on in the 16 years before this event kind of starts to make sense. This was a kid where it seemed like every time he was upset, there almost was this quick exit out of frustration, right? We both live in New York City. I don't think this kid had ever been on the subway, as an example. Now, do I think the subway is the key to not being entitled? No, that's literally one concrete thing. But I think about the driver they had. This kid wants to be somewhere in a second. It's like in the car, right? This kid didn't make soccer, no problem. We have this extra nanny who could take you in the car. We'll drive you right away to some other town and you make that soccer team. Every time there was an ounce of frustration, what got wired next to it was someone basically frantically running around to get that kid out of frustration and into kind of relative success and ease. So during our kids' earliest years, they're learning, what feelings am I supposed to feel? Then, what feelings do I have coping skills for? What feelings can I be resilient in the face of? Or what feelings overwhelm me because I have the feelings and none of the skills, but then actually also overwhelm like everyone else around me. So much so that they will put structures in place to make sure I don't feel this way. Now, no parent thinks this way. They're not like, I'm doing this so my kid doesn't feel frustration. But the truth is, when our kids are frustrated, it's frustrating for us. Dealing with your kid up being upset is hard. Like, we have to have frustration tolerance of our kids' frustration.